Hello everyone, this is Diego. We have a Tirpitz game for you today. It's a game where we get a little bit heated in the chat, but that's nothing to worry about. So we have always normally I've always played a BC strategy in this game. It really depends on the spawn here. Um, we let the team know when we're headed in that direction. I tend to go towards the center of the map in most of my battleships, just a general rule. It helps a lot on slow battleships. Tirpitz isn't slow, but I still tend to go towards the middle to help out, or not to help out, to determine which flank the enemy is going to go towards before I choose where I'm going to go to. And basically, it also helps me know where to angle eventually, even if it does give a little bit of broadside at the beginning. If I get spotted immediately, which I hope I don't, and I won't in this video at all, but it usually ends up working out in the end better. There are some maps where this doesn't work at all, but in Trap, which is a map we have here today, it seems to work out just fine. We have some Farragut going to be, and we have two aircraft carriers here, an enemy Lexington and a friendly Lexington. They all come into play later in the match as well. I'm not too afraid of the Lexington on the enemy team since I am top tier, and this, doesn't really become an issue. If it was a Shokaku, I would be more inclined to be worried about the enemy carrier because of torpedo planes. The Lexington doesn't have fighters. So my first volley is on this New Orleans that's in the middle of the map as well on the enemy side, and we get a citadel and 16k damage, which isn't bad. I don't know what he was doing. I don't know how he got spotted. I think it was aircraft, but he is making a mistake by being out in the open so early in the game, and we're trying to punish that. I was spotted because I fired my guns. The North Carolina retaliated. He missed because I turned in. It's a pattern that you use in most ships to maximize your damage early on in the game. To wiggle your butt, essentially the stern of the ship. You turn away to open up your broadside. You turn back in, and so on and so on. We are shredding. We shot down a plane, not really helping out too much. I've set my secondaries on the Alba. I think that's inside B. There are some more shells from the North Carolina. They all bounced, no damage. Well, I think the one that made contact bounced. I'm trying to find the New Orleans again. There he is. We line up a shot. It marks the La Galissonière as my target, but it's the New Orleans that I actually aimed at. And hopefully... Nope, this shot doesn't seem good enough. He slowed down, so my shots weren't... They were in the general direction, but because he was slowing down or he was changing direction, the shells didn't disperse correctly. I do land 2 shells on him, but it's not enough to take him out or anything. But he is low health now, and he is retreating, which helps our destroyers. The destroyer that we have at B. He shouldn't be able to be radared now. This Kutuzov player in front of me right now will be saying some stupid things, and I will say some stupid things back later in the match, but it's okay. He's going down A. Our team is doing an an A-B strategy, not an AC strategy, which I don't usually like, to be honest with you. I usually always go for B because whoever controls B normally wins this map. There's some rare instances where it doesn't happen that way, but no one on both sides seems to be wanting to go towards C. I'm coming into the cap now because I feel the enemy is sufficiently behind islands or far away enough where they wouldn't be able to focus me down as much. I do set my secondaries on the Gnevny. The Farragut did die. I was telling him not to push aggressively, but it was too late, or he should run away as fast as he can from the Gnevny. But our Leander should take care of him here in a second when he uses his Hydro. I spot the New Orleans over the island and I can shoot over it, and I was hoping to just outright delete him there and be done with it, but I believe I overled his speed. I do land, a couple of salvos there and do some decent damage, but not enough to kill him. Okay, so we lost our Mahan to the Mogami at A, and we're just going to continue capping B and trying to go to C, try to basically block off the enemy from ever capping anything, which the team is doing at A. At least they are contesting the cap, but at this point they should be leaving that cap, in my opinion. They're making a mistake there. So our team, or at least our team here at B, is going to head to C later on. I land one shell on the Queen Elizabeth, and it happens to be a Citadel. I normally don't get Citadels on the Warspider Queen Elizabeth, even when I do aim for the waterline and I'm close range. For some reason, I just can't get those shots, but that one dispersed right into the, I think, third turret of the ship. We keep aiming at him. I was hoping... I have priority target, and it tells me that some people are targeting me. I didn't realize at the time that the Queen Elizabeth was actually aiming at me. I thought his guns were pointed the other way. But the first hit I actually take damage from, that's like the fourth shot I've received, is a big 12k salvo. Even though the Tirpitz doesn't have a Citadel, she will eat a lot of penetration damage because her belt armor is actually not as thickly armored as some other ships that do have a Citadel and no turtle back armor. So I'm sequentially firing my shots at my salvos at the Queen Elizabeth because he's angled. I tried to lead just in a line in which direction he's going, because if I launch my full salvo at the Queen Elizabeth, it might disperse really weirdly, so that's why I tried to sequential fire. And he's also maneuvering, so it's always better to try to land as much shells as you can instead of sending out a full broadside. So you want to time it out just slightly in the direction you think the target is going to move. You can do this by just holding down your left mouse button instead of double clicking it. I will slow down here to wait for the La Galissonière to come out. He finally does get detected again by the Leander, but he decides to turn away, that it's a bad idea, which it would have been, because there's a Leander and a Tirpitz waiting for him to cross, the island there. So I land one shell. I also sequential fire there, but I didn't lead the direction correctly as I should. Now we're making our way to C. The Hipper is already capping it for us on our team, which is good. He's spotted by the North Carolina, and I don't want him to get killed. So I decide to charge the North Carolina here, who is the Tier 8 counterpart battleship on the enemy team. I'm not really afraid of a brawl with the North Carolina. She is strong. She's one of my favorite ships as well. But Tirpitz is better at close-in scenarios than the North Carolina is, thanks to the torpedoes and obviously the superior secondaries that the Tirpitz has over the North Carolina. But the guns on the North Carolina do a ton of damage, so I try to remain as angled as possible. My first shot, I get 7k, not what I was expecting. I wanted to get more damage out of that, a Citadel or something like 30k, 20k. But I overshot. He was actually slowing down. I thought he would continue turning. That's why I aimed a little bit higher than normal as well on the nose. He actually just completely slowed down. I'm not sure why, but now he's turning away, and I aim at the upper belt because I shouldn't be able to Citadel him or do much damage to any of his belt armor. And the La Galissonière I was trying to kill earlier is also charging me, which is curious. He could have used the islands, or he could have come from a different angle and set up a torpedo attack, but he decides to go exactly where my guns are aiming. And battleships overmatch most of the French cruisers really easily. They're not well armored, so I aim for the nose, and you can land huge penetrations on them. Might not get a Citadel, you might get a Citadel, but it doesn't matter because he decided to sail in a straight line into my torpedoes, so that's that. I think he couldn't send torpedoes my way because of the island, so I'm good. The Lexington is trying to drop me, and he does land a couple of bombs for 6k, which isn't bad. Still not too much. I burned my repair, so I don't have any fires on me, or a lot of fires burning on me. I noticed that the aircraft, the fighters from our enemy or friendly CV are helping us out, so that's why I decided to burn the repair. I still am working on the North Carolina. My secondaries, I have manual secondaries, and they're working on him as well, setting him on fire constantly, or her. And I believe he burned his repair, so he has a permanent fire now. I keep aiming at the superstructure, although my dispersion is not helping me. You know, it is a German ship, in hopes of getting damage, because switching to HE wouldn't work that well, to be honest, even though he's heavily angled. I still do relatively better damage with AP. It's just the Germans didn't really have HE shells. Their HE shells were pretty much HEAP, is what I believe most historians have said, or most people that know anything about that. So their HE in the game represents that. Same as the British, their HE is supposed to be the best that they had ever, because they were really, really explosive. So the game also tries to, you know, be historically accurate in a game that tries to remain balanced and not historically accurate. So there's a bit of weirdness to that in some regards. So I didn't have my repair up. It was just one fire, so I let it burn, obviously. I couldn't really do anything about it. I am trying to disengage from this Warspite because the Warspite has big guns and way more accurate than mine at range. I do not want to charge him because I think I would end up dying. He lands a hit, but it's an over-penetration. I think he actually shattered on my belt at that distance. The angle at which they got there suggests that he just shattered on the belt, which is unfortunate for him, but fortunate for me. So far, we have a good amount of damage already, you know, so we're making back our way back to B and not, you know, slowing down for anything. I tell the Hipper to disengage from the Warspite. As you can see, the Kutuzov in the chat that I mentioned would be a problem for us. I'm going full speed towards B because I know we have to protect B. We have a ship deficit, but that's not a problem if we can hold the points advantage. They have to push into us so we can remain in a strong position for them to chase us and try to take B. And so our team will delay them at B, and I think the Hipper is showing too much broadside and is about to get deleted by the Warspite. Even though, yeah, I'm pretty sure he's, yep, definitely deleted. Warspite, do not underestimate it if you're a tier 8 battleship, cruiser, whatever you might be. Unless if you're a carrier. Warspite does not have any good AA. But yeah, so I was hoping that I don't think the Hipper could do anything except try to angle away, because he was perfectly broadside. If you see the outline in the map of his corpse, he was spotted by planes, so there was nothing else he could do. But I was hoping that he would survive and help us at A or B, because he was pretty useful the entire match. I make a snarky comment there about the only way to move around the map and actually be useful is to basically teleport anywhere, which you don't have this in the game. It's a little bit more realistic than that. It's not Star Trek. So I'm trying to come help the Queen Elizabeth, and the enemy Queen Elizabeth is still alive, but we do end up killing him. We end up getting that frag. So the next thing I tell the team to focus is the Shinonome, because that will be our single biggest threat to the win, because he can remain unspotted and try to go around us and cap C or try to cap B. Right now, I believe I have 3 kills. Yes. I aim at the shores. I've played the shores myself, so I should have led better, but his angle and his smokestack aren't telling me too much, so I missed my shot on him. It's okay if you miss shots. It happens to everyone. You can't guess everything. I'm trying to sequential fire just because my guns are out of sync a little bit, but also to try to land more shells on the target. I do land a shell, but it's only one shell, and it's minimal damage. I think the Leander and our Lexington are focusing the Mogami, which I cannot aim at. So I'm going to keep my guns firing as best as I can. So the Mogami does go down. Our Queen Elizabeth should have gone full speed ahead and, to be honest, grounded behind the island and gotten closest he could to the island. But I believe the shores will burn him down. With the rate of fire on the shores is pretty amazing. So we see the Shinonome again, and I believe I told the Leander, or I tell the team to try to aim at it, and yes, the Leander is helping out. I cannot shoot at it just yet. The Shinonome has 8-kilometer torpedoes, 9 of them, just like the Fubuki. I aimed some shots right before he goes undetected, so I had target lock, and I land 3 shells, 2 overpens that does about 2k, and 1 penetration that should have done about 3k, and I believe he had like 6k health left, so he should be on 1k health in my mind when I was playing the game. So now the Shores is pushing into B because they know they have to cap. We have the points advantage. Oh yes, to do what you see here, you just press C to switch from camera from your back turrets to your front turret view. So the Shores opens up, and at this distance it's nigh impossible to miss. So I wasn't really expecting to be, he shouldn't be surprised by that. I think he was trying to get to the island as quickly as possible, but not sure. So that's why he opened up, but it was too late for him. He couldn't rotate around the island in time. I see the Shinonome again. He is on 1k health. I aim my shells, and dispersion favors me, and that's the 5th kill of the match. It wasn't fast enough to get the double strike, but it was a Kraken nonetheless. I send my torpedoes to the Warspite, and while I was working on the Shinonome, I was broadside and open way too much to the Warspite, which punished me. He did 13k. I land 2 torpedoes, and then I land a big salvo on him, but I do not have enough health to survive this. But I have worked them down enough, and unfortunately I did not get any flooding, so that means dive bombers will have to be timed out or spaced out in their drops. Hopefully get fires both times. And the Warspite, I believe, does a mistake here. Do you see that fire icon? It disappeared immediately, so that means he used his repair immediately, which I believe if he hadn't and had waited another couple of seconds, he could have healed most of his damage back when his repair party was up, but he burned his damage control quickly. So the Warspite has a cruiser level damage control party, so it lasts only 5 seconds instead of the normal 10 to 15 to 20 seconds even on the US battleships. So now I don't know if the Lexington did this by pure coincidence or if it was planned, but either way it worked out in the end, and the Warspite burns down. There's not much he could do, so we helped in that frag, and I believe the enemy Lexington has been deplaned, so the only thing he could really do is try to go cap, and I believe he tries to do that, but that's the end of the match, really. Thank you for watching.